Alright, I'm back again, and this is kind of like a summarization of an exchange on the Twitter. There was a post with someone we're mutual followers. He used to be a bigwig in the Libertarian Party until he got pissed at the Libertarian Party, and then he decided he was going to back the Democrats. And he was just blasting Trump, and that's in and of itself is not what this is about. Ultimately, the general context led me to make the comment of, if you don't like the fact that Trump won, because he was big time supporting Democrats and blah blah blah, and how Harris should have gotten. I said, if you really want to to point the finger at someone, you need to be blaming the DNC for Trump winning. There's no one more responsible for him winning than them, because they had the opportunity to have a contested nomination, a contested primary, have people challenge Joe Biden all along the way. Instead, they refused and chose to prop Joe Biden up. There were a number of things they could have done differently to put someone a better option forth that could have easily beaten Trump. They didn't take it. Instead, they just gave Kamala Harris the reins, and we know how that went. So, someone else responded about how Kamala was the best choice. She was as qualified as anyone. It was just misogyny. To it, my response was, you forget the fact that she's not that likable. There's empirical data that shows this. I mean, she literally ran for president on her own once upon a time and couldn't make it past Iowa. On paper, her qualifications may be spot on, but her as a human being, she doesn't really come off as intelligible. Sometimes a lot of times she comes off as plastered, but she is genuinely not likable. And of course, they didn't have anything to say about that because it's hard to argue with actual history. When she ran, and I forget, I believe it was in 2020 for the 2020 election, and she lost. She was one of the first people to drop out of the race on the Democrat side. That right there should tell you it's not a matter of misogyny. Tulsi Gabbard, as much as she was a proverbial redheaded stepchild in the Democrat Party, she outlasted Kamala Harris. That's not an indication of misogyny being a problem. That's an indication that Kamala's just not a likable human being, and that is one component of it. You have to have people that actually can listen to you and like your personality, like what you're saying, or if not like your personality, they have to be able to quantify it. With Trump, you had people say, well, I don't have to like him as a person, but I think he's this especially during 2016, I don't have to like him as a person, but I believe he has a better chance of fixing stuff. I actually remember people saying stuff like that. So if they think they're more qualified, yeah, it's a good likelihood that people may overlook the personality side. But when you have the taint of the Biden administration, which was fairly strong, and by that I mean, people suffering, and she's a part of the then current administration, the Biden administration. Once you have something like that on you, you have to be really likable. You have to have, because nothing you can say as far as policy will get you too far, because people will be like, as we saw, well, if you have this plan, why aren't you doing anything about it now? Why aren't you acting on that plan now? And we saw that. We saw that play out a good bit in this election. So that gets you point two. If you can't win it on your policy, you have to be a little bit more likable, and you have to be a likable person. And let's face it, she wasn't likable. And Tim Walz, he came across as kind of weird, which is funny because that's what he said about Trump supporters. Call them weird. She didn't have a good running mate to complement her strengths and prop up her weaknesses, mainly the likability. With Trump, Vance, yeah, he had a charisma that really worked well to get people to support him, but he also had youth on his side. He had energy, which is a little bit more than you could say about Tim Walz. And he had a certain, some people view it as likability, but it's kind of a likability you get with a good salesman that can make you think they're your friend. That's kind of what he had, but he was good at that sale. And yeah, he said some things he shouldn't have said, and stuck that foot in his mouth multiple times. But still, he was able to, in a lot of ways, compliment Trump enough that it helped him. And it didn't hurt them that, a lot of people didn't want to support Kamala Harris at all. They were uninspired by her. So it was a bit of a referendum on her herself, but even then, can you really say that's misogyny talking? I'd have to go back and look, but I think Hillary Clinton did better in 2016. So if Hillary Clinton did better running against Trump in 2016, can you call it misogyny? At a certain point in time, you have to quit making excuses, and you have to look at the cold hard facts. And if the Democrat Party and their supporters are wanting to just bury their head in the sand and say, oh, it's misogyny, it can't be that she was just a crappy choice. It can't be that her message didn't resonate. If that's going to be the stance they take these next 4 years, they shouldn't even try running anyone for 2028. Matter of fact, don't even try running anyone for midterms for any contested seats. Just give up. People don't want to hear that kind of message anymore. A lot of people are getting tired of that. And whether you like it or not, Republicans seem to be trying, at least, to rebrand. They've got some people that are serving as advisory roles, and they've got some, obviously someone has at least gotten enough attention somewhere along the way that they're starting to pay attention. And starting to try and rebrand and trying to reevaluate what the Republican Party should be. And when you have that, you have people that maybe are feeling a bit disenfranchised in the middle. They're looking at that going, well, they're trying to change their ways. Maybe I should give them a shot. And it's a little bit easier for them to say that when the other side's sticking their fingers in their ears going, oh, it's misogyny, it's blah, blah, blah. They're weird, they're blah, blah, blah. You wind up in a situation where you have a bit of a hard sell to make. And that's the position the Democrats are in. We kind of saw this with Republicans in 2008 and 2012. That's really where the Democrat Party is at this point in time. Now, they've got another year to go for the midterms, 2026. We'll see what happens. We'll also see, it depends on how bad Republicans shoot themselves in the foot as to how they will do in midterms. So it's way too far out to see at this point. Something else to consider though, midterms will be a huge indicator on what 2028 is going to look like. Come midterms, will we actually see the Democrat Party acknowledge they've got some issues and start working on those and trying to rebrand and rebadge? I don't think we'll see it before midterms significantly. I think it'll be more of a post midterms that we would see something like that, because right now they're just full on orange man bad, impeach orange man, obstruct orange man, that type of deal. So I think any type of rebranding of the Democrat Party would have to wait until after 2026. But will they do it? And the sad part is, I don't know if they're going to at this point. And if Republicans can get them someone else lined up now for president, and I'm not talking J.D. Vance, get them someone young, maybe someone female, maybe someone that's not, pasty white like I am. And they have someone like that elevated for 2028. Democrats shouldn't even bother running anyone. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. What do you think? Do you think the Democrat Party is really to blame? And if you were to suddenly become an advisor to the Democrat Party, what would you tell them? Would you encourage them to stay the course, or would you encourage them to try something different? Something to think about, isn't it? Later.